Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of What's Your Story? My name is Catherine Mwangi. We live to inspire, empower, and elevate. Here tonight from our new location, that's 88 Nairobi, just from having a grand tour of just one floor of this exquisite property. So before we even go on ahead with the show tonight, let's just have a glimpse, just a short glimpse of what tonight's story beholds. Jonathan Jackson is the founder and chairman of the Lordship Group. Born in Kenya, he's the son of an AIC missionary teacher, and he is the true definition of building and investing in one's country to make it a better place. He has invested in different countries like Czech, Slovak, and Kenya. After 20 years of developing real estate in Central and Eastern Europe, Jonathan, a Kenyan citizen, now returned home and built a portfolio of properties and developed many opportunities for the people in Kenya. Some of his development projects are an exclusive residential community called Karen Hills and the high-end residential building in Africa named 88 Nairobi. He has heavily invested in various industries including IT, biotechnology, and investment financial systems. Apart from the Lordship Group, he's also a board member and investor in Histogen, publicly listed biotechnology company based in San Diego, USA. He's also a board member and investor in Audacity Capital Limited, a financial trading company based in Amsterdam. In addition to being a seasoned property development and investment mogul, Jonathan is also heavily involved in fostering youth empowerment through the Jonathan Jackson Foundation, a not-for-profit organization that develops economic empowerment by building youth teams, seed funding businesses for them, and providing training to grow their business. He also supports football and basketball with the youth in the poor communities of Nairobi through an initiative dubbed Bake Mtaani. On What's Your Story, everyone has a story. Stay tuned. So the man who dreamt founded, the visionary of just the tour, just that little preamble you've seen there, is none other than Mr. Jonathan Jackson. He is the chairman of the Lordship Group, also a giver at heart, and we'll come to, what his foundation is about, amongst many other things. But for now, we are so honored to have you on the show, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
What I have seen there has just made me want to, live again.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Live again.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Extremely exquisite, spectacular. Just walking around there with you, I could tell you've poured your heart. It's not just something you're doing because it's a job, but I could just see your heart, your spirit in every little detail. And I think, I don't know where to start with your story. Do we start from what you've seen or do we start from where all this began?
Let's start from where we began.
I like that. So where did all this begin?
Where did it all begin?
Yes.
So I was born in Eldoret.
Oh!
Yes.
Do you know Swahili?
Kidogo. When I was a child, I spoke quite fluently.
Okay.
But then I from my university, and then I worked for 25 years in Europe.
Okay.
So my Swahili sort of disappeared. I'm picking it up again.
Okay.
So it's coming back again.
Okay.
Now I'm back here in Kenya.
Right.
So yes, so I was born in Eldoret. My father and my mother were with AIC Church.
Okay.
And my father was a teacher. So he started Masoriot University. So Masoriot University, he was the founder of that.
Okay.
And worked with, and was there as the principal for a long time. And then, so I went to St. Andrew's School, Turi. Okay. Because it was part of the AIC. They got special a deal with AIC missionary members. My father then came to work in Nairobi. He was the assistant to the late Bishop Barech. And my father was born here in Kenya too.
Okay.
Literally 150 meters from here. So we go back several generations in Kenya.
I see that.
And so he came here, and he was also pastor of Zawani Church. So I used to go and play the trumpet there in Zawani Church. I
Well,
learned
well.
the trumpet there.
Okay.
There was a great pastor there called Matthews,
Okay.
and he taught me how to play the trumpet.
Right.
Which
Do
was
you
cool.
play?
I don't, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, I had never followed it through. So, and my mother started her own little kind of charity work here with women from the communities. So she would go into the informal communities, and the women would come to our house, and they were always asking for food and money. And she said, well, what I will do is I will help you to make things, and then we will sell them together, and you can then earn your own money. So she started a process of training them how to make dresses and clothes and other things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember they were all sitting in my parents' garden,
Right.
and they were all sitting on the grass, doing their sewing and everything.
Yeah.
And I would go around with cups of tea and some bread, giving it to them. So that's how I learned from my parents,
Right.
to engage with the people from the communities and really have a heart for those people.
I see that.
And
Do you have any siblings?
yes, I have. Okay. I've got a brother who is in Watamu, and he runs a conservation program in Kenya. So he's my green face. So when I need a green face, I say, here's my green face, my brother. But he does an amazing job there,
Okay.
preserving forests and preserving wildlife and teaching all around Watamu about conservation and preservation. Mm-hmm. So he does a lot of that. My sister, she's in London. She's an accountant, and she has her family in London.
Okay.
My mother's 93, and she lives here in Nairobi, though at this moment she's in London, in England, just for a few months. But she's still very strong and going well. And of course, she grew up here in Kenya, so she has so many Kenyan friends.
Right.
So and I'm very blessed because I go to see her
Yes.
nearly every day
Yeah.
when she's here.
What's the secret to her long life, would you say?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I think I sort of, picked it up from her.
Okay.
She's very positive, and she never gives up. She has a real heart for people, and she's quite a pusher. She gets things done.
Okay.
My father was much more a listener,
Okay.
and more quiet and more very good, like when he was, even as the principal of Masoret, he was, a good leader, but he's not such a dynamic as my mother was.
Okay.
So I'm more like my mother
Right.
than my father, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, we just met a few minutes ago, but I can also say, like, you just have also that attribute of your dad, just listening and observing and just making everybody around you feel really welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so if that's the guy he was, then you certainly have that quality in him,
Thank
from
you.
him. Yeah.
That's really great because, I mean, I hold him in great esteem.
Yeah.
And he did so much for Kenya.
Yeah.
Because he set up many schools in the Kalenjin area. So,
Right.
and I have even a Kalenjin name.
Oh.
Kiplimo.
You're Kiplimo.
And have you noticed this?
Right.
Yeah. The whole.
Yeah.
This is it's a Maasai.
Is
and
it
a
intentional?
Kalenjin.
Or you just lost a
it was
tooth?
done. It was intentional.
It was intentional?
Yes. I know.
So Kiplimo.
Yes.
So I should be saying
Chamege
Jonathan
missing.
Kiplimo Jackson.
Chamege.
Missing.
Chamege.
Okay, interesting. So education in Kenya.
And then after I finished my school,
Yeah.
I then went to London to do my university. And I did a degree in business management, and I specialized in real estate. So I specialized in real estate.
Right.
And particularly in construction. So then I worked for a contractor for a short time. Then I started working for a developer.
Okay.
And then it was just a fortunate time in life when in Central Europe, or Eastern Europe, communism stopped. They had the Velvet Revolution. And so I decided, okay, let me go and try my luck in Eastern Europe. So I went to Czechoslovakia, and I've been in Czechoslovakia now for over 25 years. I have now developed, I do a lot of real estate development there. I've built nearly, well, probably more than 7 million square feet of space in Czechoslovakia. So mainly offices, shopping centers, some residential as well.
Yeah.
So that's been a great experience. And for me, it's my hobby. It's my passion, it's my hobby.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy the real estate side.
So why the move?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what happened, why it moved. But actually, I'll have to find out about that.
Yeah.
My friend Google will tell me.
Okay, so 25 years.
So I was there for, and we built up the thing, and then I fortunately made good money there. So I decided, let me, when we had the crisis, the economic crisis around the world in 2006-07, I had made a lot of money. So I said, let me go back to Kenya and take my money and invest it back back home.
Yes.
So I came back here and I bought land and the different projects here, but I didn't do anything with it first. So I just bought it for, thinking, well, maybe one day I'll come and develop and invest. So I only came back here about 6-7 years ago. Oh. And I said, okay, right now I have some land there, let me go and live there and actually now develop something. So have you heard of Karen Hills?
Yes.
So that's my first project, yes. Karen Hills is my project.
Well.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was a 64-acre site in Karen, and I had a vision for that, to build 1-acre plots, but everyone build their dream home under strict controls. So you get strict control where you can build, how high you can build, and regulations on how you all live as a community.
Yeah.
And people absolutely love it. So we've only got a few plots remaining there. And I'm really pleased the way it's come out, because there's no walls, it's all hedges. You've got lovely views of the Ngong Hills, and it's come out, and we've got it's a really important community. In fact, it's got a name now known as the Beverly Hills of Karen. Oh. Yeah, it's called the Beverly Hills of Karen. It's really super. Anyway, so I bought this plot a long time ago where we are sitting now. Yeah. And I didn't quite know what
to do with it. Yeah.
Because, Upper Hill, your first thought is offices, but then there's too many offices here, and it hasn't gone so well. But then, interestingly enough, I found that some of big tenants who were looking to come to Upper Hill, they didn't move to Upper Hill because there was nowhere for their people to live close by. Right. So even you've got the World Bank here, you've got the embassies here, you've got Britam here, and a lot of other big financial companies around. You've got the lawyers, because the High Court. You've got the magistrate here. You've got the doctors here, and also government. And there's no good quality residential in Upper Hill at all. Yeah. None at all. Yeah. So I thought maybe I should just build a good quality residential project to serve all the community, the business community in this area. Because there's about 40,000 white-collar workers in the Upper Hill. Yeah. And they all travel 1, 2, 3 hours a day to get to work. So I'm really pleased. We just walked around the show floor here. And I thought initially a lot of people would buy as investment. And our first sales were mainly investors looking for investment. Okay. But now, and we only finished the show floor a week and a half ago, and we've had a lot of people come round. And what I'm so happy to see is that people who work in Upper Hill, just like you said, I could live here. Yeah. This is so nice. I kept saying that. I could live here. Yeah. Yes, you kept saying that. I kept saying that. And so we've already got people in Upper Hill who are saying, yes, I want to live in 88 Nairobi. I'm close to work. Weekends I can go anywhere I want. Yeah. And what's really nice, because I live in this area. Okay. And I know that, if you come back from work, come back and you're back here at 6 o'clock, you can go to the gym, have a drink in the bar, because we built this like a 5-star hotel. And so you have everything you would find in a 5-star hotel in this residential project, 88 Nairobi. And then you can get in the car, and in 15 minutes you can be in Westlands, meet your friends for dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
Because after 8 o'clock, it's very easy to drive around.
You actually don't need to leave the building, to be honest.
We will have a restaurant here. We're going to have a very good quality restaurant.
Right.
We have a multifunctional room, so for events, for parties.
Yeah.
We have a huge spa, not just one little spa room. It's a whole spa area. So it's going to be one of the best spas in Kenya. We've got a little supermarket here.
Yeah.
There's a supermarket in the building.
Wow.
We have a whole lounge area. We have co-working area. There's co-working. We have 2 gardens. One which is like a cool garden with nice statues and water features with a fire pit. So you can sit around the fire pit with a bar there. So it's a real chilled out area.
Yeah.
Directly off the lounge. And then we've got on the other side another garden where we're having paddleball. Do you know paddleball?
Yes.
So we're going to put paddleball and pickleball, which we were going to put tennis, but then I thought all the residents would probably get too fed up with the noise of don, 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 don. So we're doing paddleball and pickleball in the outside garden area. And of course a very big gym as well.
Yeah.
So, which we all
Everything will just be like literally under one roof, eh?
Everything under one roof.
Yeah.
88 Nairobi is a legacy project for me.
So where does that that essence you carry for perfectionism, where does it come from, you think?
I've been told that it's my weakness.
Ah, okay.
Because I like everything to be exactly right.
Right.
If you talk to my staff, I'm very particular. And any mark or scratch or anything that doesn't fit correctly, I'm very, very particular about it. And I like to select everything too. So, but I think that's important. Maybe I've gone too far sometimes, but I think it helps everybody to improve the quality of their work and their professionalism.
Yeah.
So, and for me it's, I don't know, I just, when I look at it and as you see, it makes me feel, yes, that's a great achievement.
Yeah.
I've actually achieved something which is not here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, as I said to you, in 1 week we sold 10 units. So people are appreciating that this is something different and unique.
Very.
Okay, the product is different because it's like a hotel product, we just described.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm now going to be very excited now to do the penthouses.
Yeah.
Because they will be unbelievable.
So what's the maybe 2-3 things that have caused you lots of sleepless nights since you came back home to start on these projects, most especially this one?
It was a little bit difficult at the beginning because we had to dig out the basement, and it's in Upper Hill you have granite, and we have a few offices around here. So it's been I've been very sympathetic with them, but we've had to go all day long digging out granite, making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So that's been a little, that was like managing the neighbors was an issue.
Okay.
As we all know here in Kenya, the administration, there's always problems with the administration and dealing with them. I mean, on the whole, it's been fine, but then you always get the odd person who's coming here looking for chai, and creating problems in order to get chai.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately a Kenyan issue that we do need to solve here in Kenya.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating at times when you get stopped and there's no reason for being stopped. It's only because someone wants some chai. And dealing with that and managing it and trying to solve those problems is unfortunately a frustration for everyone in Kenya.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately the way we have grown as a country.
Yeah.
So I hope with all that's happening now in politics that we will, hopefully the leadership will start to make a change in behaving and being more accountable.
Yeah.
So that we can, which I'm glad to see,
Yes.
there's an indication they are ready to do so. And I think we should give them a chance to see if they will do.
Yeah, the needle is moving.
It's moving.
It is moving.
Yes.
I want you to just look into this camera and speak to the Gen Z. We know what's been happening in this country. They're holding everyone to account. So accountability is the big conversation now. So what would your words of advice or wisdom be to the Gen Z?
Let's keep that whole accountability that, you know, you've started a process. Let's keep it going. Keep it going for Kenya. Let the future Gen Z generations maintain that accountability. Let them be involved in government, participate in activities as they allow us to do so going forward. I was very skeptical of our president, Ruto, but I've been super surprised by his reaction over this last few weeks. It's super tough in that position he is in at the moment to step down the way he has done. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it. He's cancelled the financial bill. He's just, you know, cleaned his government, cleaned everybody out. And I'm absolutely so happy and excited that the Gen Z and the millennial youth of Kenya have really come together, and I'm really fully supporting them. I think it's great. But don't step into power. Don't be corrupted by power. Be that group who hold those in power accountable.
Okay, so we'll take a very short commercial break, then we come back and continue with this conversation. What do you think?
No, fabulous.
Oh, I thought you were about to speak Swahili.
Oh, Asante.
What's Your Story takes a break from 88 Nairobi. When we come back, we ask Kiplimo how he stays motivated despite everything else going on, and when this property will actually be ready for occupancy. And as we go for break, here's just some little B-roll for you to just appreciate a little bit more of a tour we did just before the show began. So right after this. Welcome back. This is What's Your Story? I'm Catherine Mwangi. We're here with Mr. Jonathan Kiplimo Jackson. If you're just tuning in, part one of the show, we established that first he is the chairman of the Lordship Group, and he studied real estate business management in Europe and decided to come back home about 7 years ago to just settle back here. But previously, he just came to invest 7 years ago, back home, born in Eldoret, so he is as Kenyan as they come, as Kenyan as we all come. And seated right here at 88 Nairobi in Upper Hill. So we showed you pictures in case you want to see more. They'll just be rolling as we have this conversation, but thanks again for making time for us.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Very glad to be with you.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
So we've spoken about, you know, your education, the challenges you face here, and obviously how you just want everything to just be spectacular because this is your legacy project. Mm-hmm. And after this, you don't want nobody telling you nothing, like you're not doing anything else. We know people say that and then something comes up, like, okay, maybe I can do.
I always have ideas. I always have ideas.
I thought so.
All my people who know me, they always say, I'm always coming with new ideas.
Right.
So I've got lots of ideas of new projects.
Right?
Yeah, but you know, let's do one step at a time.
Yeah, one at a time.
And we'll see where we will go next.
Time.
But I have other plots of land I own in Kenya.
Okay.
So there are other ideas I want to do. And I've got some pretty good ideas I want to do in this area of Upper Hill as well.
That's awesome. You know, it's always very refreshing to speak to a visionary, because I think especially in our society now in this country, the only people we see all over the place is politicians. Now, not throwing shade at them, but you know, there's those we like for whatever reasons, there's those we can't stand for whatever reasons. So if you can find somebody who inspires you outside of the political space, then I think even for this generation and with what's happening in this country now, it's always good to have people you can look up to and say, okay. So for people who have delved into real estate in Kenya or are planning to, what are some of the pitfalls, you who has been in this journey for so long, what are some of the pitfalls you'd advise them to look out for?
You know, Kenya, we're a developing nation.
Yeah.
So we have issues and problems which in time, one by one, are being solved and getting better. So, you know, before I start saying the main problems, I want to say that I do appreciate that there is a willingness and a desire to improve.
Yeah.
One of our big problems is land ownership and fake titles.
Oh.
So we have a lot of fake titles in Kenya. So I've come across a lot of projects here where we've done our due diligence and found that it's a fake title. And I've even been conned myself. I actually lent money against a title deeds, which turned out to be fake.
Oh, whoa.
So it is really difficult here, and you have to be very careful on that.
So when you wake up, you know, every day and something comes up from whichever of those, you know, spaces and more, and you know you have to meet your target for the day, but then there's this thing trying to pull you back. So how do you get out of it, or how do you stay motivated to still accomplish the things that you set out to do?
I'm a Kenyan.
Right.
And I love this country.
Right.
And I really want to, as I said, make this a legacy project.
Yeah.
So I really want this to be something which will set new standards for Kenya. And I hope this will help improve Kenya going forward.
88, Nairobi. What went into the naming of this facility?
It was actually very simple. It's always difficult to find names. We were sitting around the table trying to work out names. It was early day concept, and we had the site plan on the table.
Yeah.
The tower sits in the middle of the land. We have a garden on one side and a garden on the other side. And the initial architect who'd done the concept had drawn a footpath on the garden in the shape of an 8 and an 8. And I was sitting there and I saw these two shapes of the footpath in the shape of an 8. And I said, what about 88? And everyone seemed to like it. So I said, okay, let's call it 88.
Just like that.
And it happened like that.
It named itself from that picture.
It did. Exactly,
from that
it named
picture.
itself.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. Okay. So as a developer, interior designer, this is a legacy project, and no matter what, it has to succeed.
And I will live here too.
Ah.
I will live in one of the penthouses.
Oh.
So, and I'm building that this year. I hope to finish it by the end of this year as a show penthouse.
So you move
So
in.
I'll invite you all back here, you know, when I finished it.
We run after the promises people make us, so we shall be looking out for that
I would
invitation.
be delighted you all come back.
Okay, so let's talk about, I want to take you back to, not childhood per se, but you know, you're one of the lucky ones I've talked to who, you know, what you studied in university is the path and the journey you've taken.
Yes.
You know, most people study one thing and then life just pivots to other things, and they're like, I don't even know why I did that degree, but you know, I'm here now.
Exactly.
But for you, the journey has been this straight.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
Very fortunate. I know, you know, because my children too, they always say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Which way do I go? And you hear it from a lot of people. I was very fortunate that I was going to join the army, but I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
Because I'm dyslexic, I'm very bad at writing.
Okay.
So I can't spell. You know, I'm really bad at spelling. It was very embarrassing for me when I went to Czech Republic. You know, and I had a translator there, and he was correcting my English, you know.
Wow.
So my dyslexia has, but thankfully now with computers and everything,
Yeah.
it all corrects it
Yeah.
for you. So I've had that problem solved in my life.
Technology.
So the army wouldn't take me on because I couldn't spell, because I couldn't write reports in the way they wanted it.
Right.
So I was like, this was when I was just finishing school, and I've always enjoyed when I was at home growing up. We had a sand pit. You know what a sand pit is? Kids' little box in the garden where you have some sand in.
Yeah.
And I used to make little roads and little castles and things like that.
As a child?
As a child. So I saw, and then I was looking at all the courses, and I saw civil engineering, building roads, doing this, and I thought, yeah, that could be cool. And then I came across this degree to do construction management for buildings. And I thought, okay, buildings, that would be quite interesting to do. So I was just very fortunate. I did my degree in business management, specializing in construction for buildings. And I've just loved it all my life. It's been my hobby.
Yeah.
It's my passion.
Yeah.
And I've really, really enjoyed that.
And you're good at it?
Um,
Don't be modest. You're exceptionally good at it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Let's talk about your work with the Jonathan Jackson Foundation. You give back to society through your foundation. What necessitated that move, and when did you know it was the right time to do it?
I've always had a heart for unemployed people and for people in the communities. And even when I was in Europe, I sponsor a lot of charities all around the world. So I've done a lot of sponsorship I built schools in Haiti. I built 2 schools in Haiti. I built schools in many different places in the world, and done other charity support. And then when I came to Kenya, I was thinking, like, what charity should I support here in Nairobi? And then I thought, when you go into the communities and you walk in there, in Kibera or Kangwari or wherever, they always say, oh, give me money, or give me food or whatever. And just like my mother did, I said, no, I'm not going to give you food or money. What I will do is I'll buy you a fishing rod and I'll teach you how to fish so you can sustainably feed yourself. And that's where I'm coming from. So we effectively put youth groups together, and we help them to learn how to work together and save together. And then we actually say, right, so what business do you want to start? And we start with something simple like mukukatenis.
Okay.
So mukukateni, we will go and buy them 2 or 3, and we'll see how they use it. And actually, it's surprising how much money you make from a mukukateni. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money they actually make by collecting rubbish, delivering water, doing things like that, moving people. And so we train them how to work together as a group.
Right.
And then we say, right, okay, and how they share the money that they make out of it. And then we say, okay, so what next business shall we do? So maybe start a little street kitchen, or we start, in the communities, they have these video rooms, because they don't have televisions.
Yeah.
They all go in a little room with little benches, and they watch a TV for football and things like that. So, and that's really cool. I've sat there in those little benches, and and we watch the TV, and it's crammed tight with lots of guys watching the football.
Yeah.
So we buy them the TV, we pay for them to put all the benches in and get the thing moving, and they make really good money from it. So we've and then we start saying, okay, well, now we've helped you. Now, next one, you invest a little bit of money into the next business. So they have to put in maybe 40% of the money. And maybe we do a car wash or something like that. And they will put in 40% of their own money. I put in the rest. And so this is the sort of thing we do. Now we work with I think it's around 3,000 youth.
Ooh.
Only in Nairobi. We influence a lot of other people too. And I get as much satisfaction working with them and talking with them and seeing the transformation of their lives. Because we often we start with groups who are like living on the rubbish heap and just looking really, really depressed in the world and down. But once you have built them up over 2 years, and now they're all earning 100,000 shillings as a group together in profit, you know, and they've transformed. They dress nicely, they're looking great, they're full of positive, and Kenyans are so entrepreneurial. You know, Europeans are not so great at being entrepreneurial, but Kenyans are really great entrepreneurial. So give them the chance, you know, it's great. And you go often to them and you say, you know, and they tell you, yeah, I've been to this course and this course, and they have like 20 certificates of many different courses, but no job.
Wow.
And that's one of the big problems we have in Kenya. So I'm trying to say, okay, well, we'll help you start your own business, and we'll train you to do your own business.
Right.
Your certificate is actually the money you'll make from your business.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we're doing. So you can pay for your rent and feed your families, which we do. And it's a great satisfaction.
Yeah.
It's a huge satisfaction. Yeah. And the only time we ever donated food was during COVID. And we actually donated 2.1 million meals in the community, more than the Kenyan government did, in the communities. And they really appreciated that. So that's really helped us as well. And when I first started with going into the communities and introducing our idea, they thought, oh, another Mzungu, you know, another charity, you know, come on, give me money. And you know, they always think you're going to be here for a short time and leave. So my driver, who came from the communities, he said, John, you know, you have to get respect from them. And I said, okay, so what do I do? He said, you should buy a football club. And I said, I'm not into football. I'm not a football guy at all. But I said, okay, what should we do? Yeah. He said, well, let's, you know, and I started learning a little bit, you know, okay, let's find a football club. So we bought one in the second division. Okay. And we bought it at the bottom of the second division. And in 1 year, no corruption and good management, we were the champions of the second division. We were the top.
Oh, wow. So you've been mentioning your daughters, you know, as we've been talking. So tell me about your family.
So I have, my kids are all in England. 3 of them are in London. So I have one son who I was hoping would come and, you know, follow his dad and be a real estate guy and a businessman. And he came and worked here with me for a few months. Okay. And, you know, and he went over to Sierra Leone and he started a restaurant chain in Sierra Leone himself. He set it all up. And then about a couple of years ago, he rang me up and said, Dad, I want to be a film director. Oh. So I was like, oh, okay. Nice. All right, fine, okay, go for it. So now he's a film producer and an ad producer in London and doing extremely well. And I'm very proud of it. Okay. My daughter works for the British government, so she's very high up in the British government, working there, so that's good. And then my other daughter, she's married a Ghanaian, and she's moving to Ghana, so I will be going over to see them. And so I'm, you know, when I became 60, I thought, okay, that's no problem. We had a big party here. Right. Actually here in this space? No, not this space, on another floor. Okay. And I thought, yeah, that's so cool. Like, you know, I'm still, you know, go for it and everything. Of course. But then my eldest daughter, they got the first child, my first grandchild. And I can tell you, Catherine, I felt so old. Here I am, you know, I have a grandchild, and it's like, I've really felt old. But it's delightful. She has 2, so I've got 2 grandchildren now, so which is really cool. Beautiful. And they're beautiful, and but they're moving to Ghana. Okay. So I will go over there and help them over there in Ghana. Well done. So that's really nice. Yeah. And then I have my youngest daughter, and she's finished university just a year ago, and she's now working in London. So your children are at peace, they're happy, they're settled. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. So yeah, I mean, you know, the youngest still doesn't quite know what she wants to do. She's in marketing at the moment, so she's, she's young.
She'll
find
figure
her
it
way.
out. Yeah,
She'll find her way.
figure it out.
She's a smart girl.
Yeah. So we're coming to a close, so I'll just have maybe 2-3 quick fire questions for you. Okay?
Please.
That didn't sound too cool.
Yes, I'm worried now.
Okay. So life lessons. Give me 3 life lessons that you learned in your 20s.
In my 20s?
Yes.
Well, one life lesson I'd learned, and it's for me, it's not necessarily applicable for everybody.
Yeah.
I went to a boarding school in England,
Okay.
well, in Kenya first. And then I went to a boarding school, a boys' boarding school in Kenya, and in England, sorry. And then when I went to university, there was no control. There were parties. There were girls. It was like, wow, I'm free. I can do everything. And like most students, you go and party and enjoy yourself. Now you remember my father was an educationalist.
Teacher.
So but in my first year at university, I didn't do any work, and I didn't even turn up to lessons.
What were you doing?
I was having fun.
Okay.
And at the end of the year, I thought, well, I haven't done any work. Maybe I'll do it in my holiday and I'll send it in. I came back to Nairobi and I got a letter from the university saying, we see you don't want to work, so please don't come back. And they kicked me out of university.
So what's the lesson
So
there?
I went to my dad and I asked him, please get me back on. So he got me back on and back in, and they said, we'll give him 1 term and see. I promised my father I'd stop drinking and I'd stop partying. Well, actually, I did go to a few parties, but I did stop drinking. I did stop drinking. And from that term, I've never drunk. And so that was a big lesson for me.
So you're a teetotaler?
I'm a teetotaler, yes.
Okay.
So I never drank since then.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big lesson for me.
Right.
And I found that I can still be crazy, I can still be a party, and I don't need to drink, and I can still wake up in the morning and be fresh and work. In
your 30s?
I would say my biggest lesson, and it's something that you have to really go for, is never give up. Never give up. And I'm sure you've heard this from a lot of people. But this ability when everything, I've been technically bankrupt 3 times in my life. And you're out of money, you're out of everything, and you still got to find a way through. And you can be in a box with no doors, no walls, no windows, no doors, and you just got to find your way out of that box. And you just don't give up, and you just got to find your way through.
Yeah. Okay, so when you turned 50.
Yes.
You know how we say, like, when you turn 40, life begins at 40. When you turn 50, ooh. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Well, I did my most outrageous birthday party when I turned 50.
What's outrageous? Like, what does that look like?
So I was at the time working in Ukraine, and I was trying to develop in Ukraine, and I had a lot of friends over there. So I invited 30 of all the guys I knew from all around the world, and we all went there and we had a 3-day party in Ukraine.
Men only?
Men only, yes. So we told them they had to leave all their wives and girlfriends behind, and we had a 3-day party there, which was really cool. It was really fun.
That's different.
Yeah, we did. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
And so that was like celebrating going into 50, and I don't think it changed too much. I mean, we had, the world crisis during when I was in my early 50s. So I had made a lot of money in Europe, and as I said, I brought that money to Kenya, and I've invested it in Kenya.
Yeah. I just thought of one last question.
Yes.
What values do you live by?
My value is, my word is my bond. And I can be, yes, a hard businessman, but I also have a heart for the people. So being a businessman where I can be really strong, and I like to make transformation.
Thank you so much for availing time today to just get to know you, your family, your heart, to see it, not just to know it, but to see it. You know, we did this tour and I kept saying, I should live here. What am I doing with my life? I should live here. This is what I was born for. It's exquisite, and you've done fantastic work.
Thank you very much.
88 Nairobi. Yeah, so I can only wish you all the best and incredible strength to, you know, just finish.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Our pleasure.
I appreciate it.
And to you watching, thanks for tuning in tonight to What's Your Story. We don't take it for granted that you make this appointment every Wednesday, 8 p.m. and Sundays, 2 p.m. for the repeat. Should you need to reach Mr. Jackson, how can they do that?
Well, the best way would be to go to the website, 88 Nairobi. So if you go to 88 Nairobi, the website, it's very easy to find. You get all the contacts in there. Come for a viewing, come and see what we have seen today, and come and have a look around. And yeah, we are selling, thankfully, very quickly. And we would love to see, and what I'm very pleased to do is that people actually want to come and live here. You know, as you heard Catherine, she actually wants to, she can imagine living here. And what we're seeing is that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to put a lot of effort to make sure it's managed like a really high quality 5-star hotel.
Yeah, oh, love it. 88nairobi.com.
88nairobi.com. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you reach him. They're just here in Nairobi's Upper Hill area, but just go to the website. I think all the contacts are there, like he said, and you take it from there. From us here, we know tonight you've been inspired. I know you have been empowered as well as elevated. As a business person here in Kenya, you know, just all the best. It's not easy, but we stand and celebrate those that still are building this nation, because we all just can't afford to give up on it. And if you add on some perfectionism and high standards, then all the better, because then you put us up there, you know, with the international market, just being competitive at that level. I need to stop talking and say good night. So ciao.